We just got back from our vacation to Denver, and I don't know if there is a better combination of live music, great beer, vinyl hunting, mountain air, and just pure Colorado. We finally made the trek and caught our first show at Red Rocks to see Alabama Shakes and JJ Grey. And if you've ever seen a show there, you already know it's not just a concert venue, it's an experience. The sound, the scenery, the energy, it's unreal. And of course, while we were there, I went to a couple of those legendary record stores. Wax Tracks, highly recommended. Pure crate digging glory. And we hit Twist and Shout. That's one of those places where you intend to spend about 20 to 30 minutes. 2 hours later, you come out with way more vinyl than you intended on getting. So today on RPM, we bring all of that together. Music culture, vinyl records, and hi-fi, plus some chatter about the most amazing concert venue on the planet, Red Rocks Amphitheater. Because today's guest sits right in the middle of that conversation. Today we're joined by the CEO of KLH Audio and Victrola. If you're into records, sound systems, and music history, this is your show. Joining us on the podcast today is Scott Hagen. He is with KLH Audio and Victrola. Why? Because I just went to Denver, and he knows a lot about Denver. He also knows a lot about turntables, home audio, and vinyl records. He's a crazy vinyl record person like we all are. So welcome, Scott. How are you?
Hey, so great to meet you, and thanks for having me on your show. And
Yep.
I'm glad you were just recently able to come visit the city and listen to some good music.
It was awesome. You guys are lucky in many, many ways. Your record shops up there were super cool. I went to Wax Tracks, and I also went to Twist and Shout. Turns out Twist and Shout owner knows my home record shop owner here in our little home area between Panama City and Destin. They're good friends, and so that was kind of a crazy thing. But you got Red Rocks up there. It's just an average amphitheater people go to.
Yeah. The amphitheater is great. There's so many incredible venues. We moved our company here just over about 5.5, 6 years ago. And a big part of why we moved our office from New York here was just the emotional response to music overall. It's a different vibe here than anywhere else. And there's just a very, very large community of people that love to go listen to music, and there's a lot of options. So it's been a really incredible move for us, and a great place for our company and for me personally to be as a music lover.
I had a funny experience. We went to go catch, if you're familiar with the new Master Sounds, they have Color Red Records out of Denver.
Yeah.
Eddie Roberts was one of our first shows, and I joked around. I said, hey, why don't you play a show on Memorial Day weekend? We're going to be up there. Well, he did. He played at Meyer Skis. Have you heard of those guys?
I have heard of them. I haven't been up there, but I'm still waiting for the Breaks to show up here. I'm pretty stoked about that project myself.
I agree with you.
I'm a big, like you, I'm a big Meters fan. I just love kind of that old school groove and everything, and it's just I'm stoked to be able to hear those guys play. I've never heard the Master Sounds play live either. Yeah,
so yeah, that was the beauty of it. There was Suga T on the Hammond. They had the drummer from Thievery Corporation playing, and this was just a pickup thing, and Eddie was playing guitar, and it was in a ski factory, and it was super cool.
Yeah.
And he did have the Breaks albums there.
That's awesome.
It was funny. You said it's a good music scene up in Denver. There was a guy that we met at the show, and he came down and he said, I live in Lyon. Is there a Lyons?
I'm still not familiar with all the towns, but I'm sure there is. I hear a new one every day.
Yeah, he said, he goes, that's where all the bluegrass people hang out, and I have to get out of that town because there's no drummers.
Picking only, right?
So he came all the way down and watched that show, and it was fantastic. It was really good. But yeah, the Red Rocks experience, man, you see the photos and you're like, man, that's awesome. But you mentioned offline why it sounds so awesome. Give me a little feedback on, what's in the system at Red Rocks that makes it sound so good in that amphitheater.
I'm just a huge fan of that amphitheater for a lot of reasons. I think it's a perfect size. It feels intimate, but really big all at the same time. I think it might feel even bigger for the artists that are there performing, and you can kind of see them react in so many ways. Nothing better than a great storm brewing through and being able to see, the clouds and everything in Denver. But it's just a really special, I think, emotional space. But the sound is incredible. Not only is the amphitheater a perfect venue for getting great environmental sound and so forth. But the company that went in there to do the work, DB Audio Technik, is this German audio company that you'll find in a lot of theaters, a lot of large venues, a lot of tours. They just did it right. They did it right
Hmm.
there. And what's so cool is you could be going to listen to, again, some bluegrass, or you could be going to listen to jazz, or an EDM show, and you're going to get great sound there. Now, I'm not a huge EDM fan, but my kids are, and they say that it's one of the best sounding places for them to go. They just love it.
Yeah.
So it's just a cool, special place. Once you get your heart rate back down to normal and your breath back, and you're seated there for about the first half an hour trying to figure out how you got up the stairs. It's great.
It's great. And we actually just wanted to watch the view like so many do. And I kind of treat that amphitheater like I think some people treat the Sphere in Vegas.
Hmm.
It's cool to say you were on the front row all the way at the bottom floor and watching U2 and you can touch Bono, but you're missing the show. Like the show is we were top row leaning up against the
So cool.
back. Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
I get chills thinking about this. Sound and Color is a great song by Alabama Shakes. That's who we got to go see on Monday night. When they started with the keyboard, that's the most acoustically ASMR sound I've ever heard in a theater. It was chilling. And so I'll always take that. The rest of the show was amazing. The one thing that I did get from friends was like, pick your spot and just learn what's around there. You don't have to go to the bottom. You don't have to go to the top. But JJ Gray's merch was all the way at bottom right. And I was like, I'll buy it online. I'm not going down there.
Yeah.
But you're right. When you look from the stage, I would imagine it looks like a massive hill and it goes up for miles. But when you're up top, it doesn't feel that far away. Plus, you have that panoramic view of Denver. We caught one lightning strike that probably hit over near Aurora, directly across, and it was probably 40 miles away. But it was nice. It was super cool. But yeah, you're right. It was moderately temperature. There was a little wind, but man, it sounded good.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm glad you got to experience it. I think everybody that loves music, live music in particular, should just go experience it there.
It's the one venue you need to go to. You pick your favorite band and go to it.
Yeah, Andre Bocelli's playing there in
Ooh.
September, which I think would be amazing as well. I mean, there's just, it just doesn't matter what kind of genre you're into. I mean, there's a good
That's right.
fit for that theater. Yeah,
That's right. Yeah, you know it'd be awesome with Andre Bocelli to tell everybody to be quiet and see if he can just sing without a microphone for a minute. I bet that
it
would be
would be
awesome.
incredible. It would be cool.
That'd be really cool. Tell me your vinyl story. Like when did you just start going crazy on vinyl? It seems like you have a lot of vinyl at the house.
It's interesting. It's like that's the assumption. I have a lot of vinyl at the house. I don't have a lot of vinyl at the house because I give it away, I think,
Yeah.
more than I collect it. Or people take it from me. I'm not sure. but I have a decent amount. I'd say my vinyl experience first started when I was a little kid with a suitcase turntable, and my parents gave it to me. My grandma had a Victrola in her house. I remember she used to let me spin that, kind of that crank, and listen to some of her old, classic stuff. But I got this little blue suitcase turntable. I was in probably first grade, second grade. My dad started teaching me, how to play drums and so forth when I was about 5 years old, and I just loved music so much. But having that turntable in my room to myself, I didn't get to go pick music. I didn't really. have a point of view on what I liked or didn't like at that time. But um, I remember having Hey Jude with Revolution on the flip side, or one of those, vice versa. I can't remember which was the actual single that came out. And I played that record, I played that till it died pretty much, and I remember listening to some of those guitar solos and listening to just kind of just the different sound than what I would hear on the radio with my parents playing their Sunday afternoon pop and whatever. It was awesome for me. And it was a, something that I think, um, impacted a journey for a long time. I never was frankly a Beatles fan even, but it was just something about listening to music and just dissecting it and listening to each part of it that was huge for me. And that grew, I have had a career in audio and a career in music. Before I ever was selling audio or building it or participating in the business side of it. Wanted to be a professional musician. I played Hammond, I played
Awesome.
piano and Hammond, and just finding different content was super important, and records were a way to do that. I was kind of in that generation where we skipped it. I had it as a very young kid, um, but then we were, making mixtapes. I would make mixtapes on the VHS because they were longer and better
Yeah.
quality, I thought. And then we, had CDs and so forth. And the majority of my collection was in CDs. That's, in the early 90s was when I was, in my kind of real exploratory years, with all sorts of different genres of music. And I was collecting a bunch of it. Uh, But the big thing for me that really has got me so excited about vinyl. I guess I don't, I, I didn't realize why at first, why I loved it so much. And, uh, you can fall into this, especially in the hi-fi side of things and not the music as much side of things. There's this, you always hear people say, well, is vinyl really better? Does it sound better? And my feedback is that's the wrong question. You know, it and it's really for me about this entire experience about going to find something, and that might be the journey is the digging experience or the journey of trying to discover new content and new music. It might be the physical, tactile nature of it. It might be sharing it with your friends and being around communally. I think it's a big thing to slow down, and just really experience an entire album the way it was meant to sound.
100%.
A big one that really taught me that was, "Let's Get It On," Marvin Gaye. I mean, that album, not only was it essentially stolen, and then, he took it from Berry Gordy and had it shipped and remastered it to the way he wanted to, or that's the rumors at least that are out there. But it was truly intended from beginning to end to listen to it. And sitting down with my kids these days and us listening to a full album was so different than all we're consuming so much content right now. But you don't remember it. I mean, I'm just in a Starbucks this morning or whatever. I have no
Just
idea what
scrolling through
was,
it.
yeah, well, what, and I know there was music being played, but I couldn't tell you what it was, um, so records just started becoming this thing where, I've been involved in music so long and in the business of music and audio that I stopped appreciating it. And over the last, call it, 7, 8 years, I've really started just, really appreciating this art that we're all surrounded by more. And it was through that, kind of just slow it down, listen, enjoy it. And
Yeah.
I think the other thing too is, you think about these, uh, you know, kids, millennials to Gen X to Gen Y and how the difference is. I mean, the really, and Gen Z, um, you know, if you look at somewhere between Gen X and Gen Z, it's interesting because there's a massive amount of change in attention span. Actually, Gen Xers, when focused, because of some predomino method, I can't remember exactly what it's called. There's some method to teaching. It's 22 minutes on average.
Wow.
Now, ironically, that's the side of an album,
It is.
you know, and it varies as you get even younger. But I think there's something to be said about that. Where just you sit down and listen, and
Yeah.
it's just enough time, and it's just enough energy that you have to put into it. And so, to me, that's what's been really cool about this company that we're part of, and impactful to me from a vinyl side.
How important was it becoming a CEO of Victrola and now KLH Audio that you were a music person? Like,
Mhm.
it's kind of hard to not be a music person and run these two companies, I would imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we actually our hiring process includes that. You know, if
Awesome.
I basically I try to meet with everybody that we hire, and I say, if you don't love music, you're gonna probably hate this job because we work way too hard.
We
You
have a
know, and
janitorial position for you that
yeah,
requires no
yeah.
music knowledge.
Yeah, well, even that, it's like you're probably gonna be annoyed because everybody else around here loves music. I mean,
Music.
we listen to music all day long. We go to
Yeah.
concerts together. We, we share musical stories. It's a. I consider most of these types of companies, these audio companies, a home for failed musicians. It's like the failed musician retirement home, so you can
Yeah.
kind of see like what did you use to play? And
Support
uh,
group.
you, you
It's
see a
a
lot of untuned guitars on walls in the backdrops behind people, that are on our teams calls, if you will.
That's
But
hilarious.
yeah, and some great musicians, of course, on our team. But I think it's in our DNA, and if you don't love it, and you probably aren't going to love working here, no matter what your role is. Um, our
I
our
agree.
our awesome team in our distribution center just right north of here, they listen to music on their breaks. They have KLH systems set up. They have vinyl playing all day long and in our warehouse. So it's a really special environment for everybody that really loves music. It's a nice home for people.
I'll tell you this. I listen, I have a studio that I work out of. Our company is pretty mobile. We're, thanks to 2020, everybody figured out you can work where you are.
Yeah,
So I do play records, but what it does a good job for me is after 22 minutes, get up, move around, do your thing, and then
yeah,
readdress and get back into your emails. Because back in the day, you could just turn on a Spotify 5 hour playlist and be like not moving, and you just stick there. But
yeah.
the other thing when you brought up the personal aspect of vinyl, what I kind of have noticed is you didn't go over to your friend's house the past 15 years and compare each other's playlists on Spotify, or marvel that you have that artist on your playlist on Spotify. But when you go to a friend's house and you see three albums you might not have that he found, and you get to sit down and listen to it with him, that's cool. And you get to thumb through the record sleeves and all that stuff. It's just way different. I think that tangible aspect is a true thing, or we're tricking ourselves to believe that.
Yeah,
But I think it's a thing.
it's a thing. It's definitely a
Yeah.
thing, and it's not just a thing for your and my generation. It's a thing for we think of our business not necessarily in the form of categories of products, if you will, but more or less paths that music lovers go through. And there's a path that is probably faster growing and larger than any other segment, which is um, I love music and this looks fun. I want to try it. I mean, and you're seeing that happen all the time with younger people that are just getting into this, and really enjoying it and becoming, deep music passionate music lovers, artist lovers, and people that are just exploring new genres, which I love. We sell a lot of vinyl on our website, and one of the funnest things to watch is like the basket or the the content that people buy when they buy it with a record player, and
Right.
you'll have uh Justin Bieber, Um, and you'll have Frank Sinatra, and then you'll have Ludacris.
Yeah.
Like all in the same purchase. And it's so fun to watch, like people just, exploring kind of a wide range of genres. And another thing you find is like people that are buying vinyl are also the people that are the premium subscription service providers or subscribers. They're the ones that are spending more money on exploring music in all sorts of different ways. So
Yeah.
it's really fun to watch. It's really fun to watch this younger generation kind of do more than I think what we did with the variety and ability to have content in any way we wanted. It's cool.
It's super cool. I mean, you could see the trip wall. This is all the stuff I got from Denver. The one I was really wanting was this Nathaniel Rateliff that they recorded 2020 with nobody at Red Rocks, and I'm fascinated by that story and how much heart he put into that show. That album's awesome. And then I found a Spoon album, which is Spoon is Spoon, and
Yeah.
then found two Neville brothers that I've never seen down here in the South, and the wild card was the one up there from Twist and Shout. Patrick, I found that it was $10. It says as is, but it's Dr. Dre's first, album he was ever on,
Yeah.
wearing white leather.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like
Yeah,
it's
that's
a little bit of a
awesome.
grail, but and then the last two were the brand new heavies, which I'm sure you're
Yeah,
familiar
I
with
love the
them.
brand new heavies.
Oh,
Yeah,
so that's a RSD from the UK that was at Twist and Shout, and I was just talking to Patrick, glanced down, and they were there, so I just picked them up and left with them. But it's diverse, and it's fun to kind of be able to bounce around and add genres that you grew up with, and then all the new
yeah, it's
stuff
so
too.
cool.
It's
I
super.
I agree with you. I've been really uh, fortunate to be able to travel all around the world, really, in this role. And we don't just design the product, we sell the product, we manufacture the products, and we're very involved in collaborations with artists and artist support and other things. But one of the places I was just recently doing a combination of that was I was in Asia, and in particular spent some time in Tokyo.
Oof,
And
that's
I found these original pressings of Maynard Ferguson, Feel So Good. And then I got the Aretha Franklin, Amazing Grace. I don't know if you know the story about behind that album, but she was performing live at her father's Baptist church for 2 days,
whoa.
and they made a documentary. They actually filmed this thing, and after the first day of her playing, the word got out, and you have like some of the members of the Stones, all these people, all these famous people started showing up the second day to just go listen to her play. And it is an incredible album.
All right, that's
So
on my
these
list
finds
now.
are fun, man. Yeah, if you don't have it, you got to get it. It's good.
Send me a
It's good.
photo. Let me see
But
what that one looks
yeah,
like.
yeah, well, I got it right here. I should pull it out and show it to you.
I
But
need I need one more album on my want list. Like I need a fork in my eye, but that's fine.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's just
But
fun.
that's
Those finds are incredible.
the finds are
Yeah,
incredible. That is cool to be able to find. Like I was not looking for the brand new heavies, but I was absolutely wanting it, and I couldn't get a
yeah.
copy of it. But there it is. We live in a simulation. They hooked me up in Denver. It's pretty awesome. So
Awesome.
I imagine you guys acquired KLH Audio, and it was kind of like the scene of Chevy Chase. Boom. Now you got speakers, and then you have
Yeah,
turntables, and it's like
yeah.
all there. So like the lights
Mhm.
came on. How has that changed things for music lovers being able to captain both of those?
Oh, I mean, it's for us is was a great opportunity for us to bring KLH under the umbrella of what we would describe ourselves as Victrola brand group, and there's definitely an opportunity for more of that to occur in the future. But the moment that we brought KLH in, I think it was incredibly special because of the uniqueness of both of the brands. Both of the
Mm-hmm.
brands have been around in the U.S. for about 100 years, or roughly. Victrola a little bit more, KLH a little bit less. But here you had a, a series of products and a brand that has meant so much to so many people along their musical journey, that frankly, just like Victrola over the last 5, 6 years that we've been working on, the brand deserved more than what we had been offering it in as far as products. And the consumer wanted, and we knew the consumers and listeners wanted to experience it the way they remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, sometimes that transitions into experiences the way you remember it, but in today's world with today's expectations, which are a little bit different. So what we really focused on right away was slimming down the brand. Actually, there was a bunch of products that the brand had, that KLH had, when we purchased the company that we felt like weren't aligned with the heritage. They weren't. It wasn't true. Just sit down, listen to great music that you love. People might say great hi-fi, and I think it had become a little bit more of a audio brand versus an experiential music, hi-fi brand. And so what we did is we eliminated a lot of the products, and we got really focused on this core part of the line called the model line. The model line is what really it was known for. The Model 5s were the legacy superstar. And we anchored on that and really made sure that the things that we did that were so special and that had been done originally that were so special about the Model 5 and the Model 5 reissue, that we carried that forward across the entire brand and continue to carry it forward across the entire brand. Some of those basic things are, it's acoustic suspension is really important to us. It's a technology, or a principle essentially that allows you to have a full sealed cabinet with your drivers, and the manage the kind of the force of the driver in a different way. But also what that does is your bass response is uh, significantly less impacted as it goes down into the lower frequencies versus, we'll call it, without using technical terms, a traditional ported driver array.
Right.
It also has a very wide baffle on it, and many of these products are a little bit more shallow, less deep. That's not what you see in traditional hi-fi these days. Well, that allows you to actually put these things in a bookshelf on a hi-fi bar. A lot of these hi-fi bars that you see at home or out in the wild, they have really cool looking speakers in it that are totally meant to be about 3 feet off the wall. So these actually can go near field, far field, in a studio even, and they work great. So we wanted to keep some of those acoustic principles and the design principles core to the DNA of what we did moving forward. And uh, this next week, we're going to be launching the next version of that, which is the Model 4. It's going to stand alone in its own right. We found that globally, a lot of people love the look and the feel and the sound of the Model 5s. But they wanted something that was maybe a little bit smaller. And
Yeah.
so we took all the same acoustic principles and we applied them to the Model 4. And it's just a killer sounding product. You asked me about vinyl, and to tell you stories about vinyl, it's really hard for me to tell you about an individual record or album that I love and it's meaningful for me, because I'm in massive just track listening mode right now, trying to figure out
Right.
what sounds best on these products, because we're
Right.
launching them in Vienna and we're going to be demonstrating it for the press this next week in Vienna. But that, again, to circle back on your question, that brand is a brother or sister to the Victrola brand, in the sense that we've got a great source now, but also we have just the great output and the great sound, and they mirror each other in a lot of ways. I would say um, the way they're different as brands is Victrola is very much so in that kind of, it starts with when the consumer starts to actually listen and explore music on their own for the first time,
Yeah.
and it ends somewhere in a different range. Call it, I want to collect, I want to see it in the wild, I want to experience. And I would say KLH, starts with, I want something beautiful and great sounding in my home. And we reference it today as, you know, real sound, real music, in real homes for real people. It's not attainable, but it's so hard to get that. It's easy to say that, but it's really hard to get the great, true, real sound in a real home, sounding great. We don't all have studios, if you will.
Right.
So that was a huge addition to our brand, ecosystem, as well as the competencies in acoustics, acoustic physics, and the different partnerships that we really bring with that. We just didn't have that in Victrola organically at the time, and we needed it. So having these two things together has been an awesome journey. It's only been a year in. We're launching, these Model 4s, and we have a really exciting roadmap um, on on the horizon with KLH as well, um, where without me divulging too much, if you look back into the history of KLH, it did some really, really cool things, in its heyday with different sources like record players, reel to reels, electrostatic speakers, those things. You can imagine we're exploring all those options right now, and doing a lot of design and engineering around, the ideation phase, even inclusive of powered product in the future.
Yeah, and look, you guys have record players, you have the speakers. All you got to do is add music to it, and if it sounds good, it's pretty much selling itself, right?
Yep. Yep.
I mean, it
And
really does.
we just love celebrating the music side of it. I mean, that's what we're all about.
What is that one song that you're gonna? What's in your head that you're gonna play in Vienna that just really just shows off all the capabilities and sound profiles that you guys offer? Like, what is the song? Tell me. What do you think it is?
Uh, I named a couple of the albums that I was thinking about already. Um, I'm that's the one song that they have so many different properties and so many different cool nuances. Um, But that Aretha Franklin cut on vinyl, because we'll do some digital and some vinyl to show the differences, but that Aretha cut, on vinyl of, "Mary, Don't You Weep," and then there's also a medley on there of "You Got a Friend," and it goes into some gospel. Just, these female vocals are incredible, but it is, it's a crappy recording. It's in
Yeah,
a church. It's in a church that wasn't a church that's built for acoustic properties. It was in a church, and you imagine you got this big gospel group, you got this television crew, you got a band, and I'm pretty sure I was listening to it this morning. I'm pretty sure that the drum set was like just a left right pair microphone. That's it. No kick or
wow.
anything. I mean, you can just hear it in the ambient. So it's and the bass player is, I think he's mic'd up. I
Right.
definitely know he's not direct, right? It's definitely not there's not going into a DI or anything like that. So, when you listen to it, and I really like to, when I'm demoing product, that can do it, I like to, have a very baritone type female vocal that's got that massive chest,
Mm-hmm.
sound in it that you can really hear when people are using their diaphragm and actually properly singing. You can hear it combined with an incredible bass line. I'm a huge fan of just, I mean, being a piano and organ player. I like the rhythm section. I start there in so many
Yeah.
ways. And if in this, it's like real, the recording should make it really, really hard to pick out that bass line and the drums. Um, Especially when the vocals are on top of it. Usually you lose all this stuff. So
Yeah.
that Mary Don't You Weep, and she starts clapping in the middle of it. It's an incredible cut. And there's just a lot of nuance in there. I would say two other tracks that I'm really critically listening to a lot, and maybe 3, are, also on the vinyl side, um, PJ Morton, the dude from, Louisiana, from New Orleans. he did an album not that long ago called Gumbo, but he also did a live Gumbo Unplugged. And he does a cover of an ABBA cut. Um, and it's incredible because you can just hear the room. It's such a great live recording. Um, in this small little venue, and you can just feel everything. And then so I like that cut too. And then the two other cuts I'm listening a lot to are Jacob Collier, and that's more on the
Hmm.
digital side.
Yep.
Moon River will demonstrate the speakers with Moon River probably, and then and maybe another cut, Witness Me, with Kirk Franklin and him, that's got again that big gospel feel to it.
Kurt
These
Franklin's awesome.
speakers, yeah, I love him. I love him. I
Yeah.
love what he's done like all these years. But if you listen to any of his stuff and you were to look at it technically, on kind of like all the frequencies that are going on at one time, it's like a manwich. I mean, it is just like stacked. Every frequency is hitting at the same time. And so, in order to be able to hear all those different parts and not lose something with something else, you got to have you got to have speakers that can really handle that. And so we like to push these things really hard and share, share them in their worst case scenario, which is pretty impressive.
So I'm sitting at Red Rocks, top row, back against the brick wall. I'm looking down at the stage, and they have video screens down there, and they were doing, future shows, advertising, and it just kind of jogged I was like, I'm gonna ask Scott to, hey, if I gave you the microphone at Red Rocks in front of 10,000 people, uh, give them, the 2 minute Super Bowl type profile ad that you would describe KLH, including the 357 and the 4, on why that's a great speaker for a home audio system.
Yeah, I would just say I thought you were going to ask me what songs I would play, and
No, I want you to talk about your
I'm
product.
not going to give you that. No, I would say that these products, first of all, I would show them. Right. There's not much you need to say. You can allow people to look at these things um, and know that they're very attractive and they're beautiful looking, and we call it the spousal factor. That it would actually look decent in your home and you not want it to get kicked out immediately. Doesn't look like a bunch of
Amen.
gear. It
Amen.
looks beautiful.
Yeah.
So I would show it. Because I think telling somebody that it looks good that's your opinion,
Hmm.
just let them see it. Number two is I think that it would be really important to bring others on stage with me and have them share what they heard and what these products mean to them. And I think about like a very, very close friend of mine, friends of mine, two brothers, the Avila brothers, Iz and Bobby Avila. They they're actually just finishing writing the tour for Usher and Chris Brown. They're going and has been, you know, uh, DJ for Usher for a long time. Um uh, t- uh Bobby, I mean, like his list of writing material and things published are amazing, along with his solo career himself. These guys have, multiple Grammy Awards. Shaka Khan, they did Gwen Stefani, Hiraku Girls, Usher Confessions. They write. I sat them down um, in front of these model series products, the Model 7s and now the Model 4s. And, you know, they're not basically, they said, we are hearing things that I honestly haven't even heard outside of the studio ever. Um, I want these in my studio. And you you put these they're you put these in they're in a lot of different artists studios and a lot of different artists homes, but you put these things in front of somebody that really really knows what they wanted people to hear when they created something, and they listen to this and listen to these speakers and they hear everything they expected and sometimes even more. I think that's the testament. That's more important than me talking to him about all the features and specs and everything.
Right.
Like I said, yeah, I mean, like we have a Model 7 that's a three-way 13-inch acoustic suspension product that is, less than $10,000. You'll never find anything like that out there for less than $10,000, and it performs like it's 20 or 30. So
Wow.
we've got these incredible products for real people, like I said, but for real homes, and that's our focus area. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know if that answers your question.
Sure it does.
I think
It does.
people would probably be going, "Get off the stage. We're ready for the band now." But
No.
but if I was going to give a pitch, that would be the pitch.
Yeah, and so you brought something up a little while ago about acceptable equipment in the living room, and is it too much stuff going on? What we haven't talked about is Victrola does alleviate some of the nightmare which I used to have, B&W speakers and wires all over the place and amps and all these things, and you can do better with it with current technology and speaker. The wires are way different now, but back in the day in the 80s and 90s, it was all over the place. And unfortunately, that's what wives remember. So it's like when you want to have a new system in your house, tell me about Victrola. It eliminates a lot of the things, and you guys have some technology built in that gets you pretty dang close to wired, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I started with this company in 2019, at the very end 2019, going straight into COVID. Hired a couple of people that I thought were innovative, young, didn't have kind of the boundaries put around them of the traditional audio file community that we've been part of. I was actually with another company before that. I was with Sound United, which is now that's Denon, Marantz,
Hmm.
Polk Audio, Boston Acoustics, Bowers and Wilkins, Class A, all those brands that they own. And so I kind of grown up in that space with these like hard and rules that we put around each one of the technologies or each one of the products. And when we started with Victrola, frankly, it was the majority of it back then in 19. It was just it was no different than any other branded suitcase turntable, but with a great name on it. And we had a lot more to serve the brand with. And certainly there was a lot of technology that we could, potentially bring to market. But the way we started was this category, record players specifically, has been ignored technologically for over 20 years, for over 2 decades. And if you think of all of the progress that's been made around it, in every other category that surrounds record players has been massive progress, massive innovation. If you think about what the average even pair of headphones or automobile sounded like 20, 30 years ago compared to what it sounds like today, totally
Sure.
different.
Totally different.
But we're just like, we're not going to throw technology at it for technology's sake. We don't want to be sacrilegious, because there is a very important experience that occurs when you're listening to a record. There is, you want to be able to put this thing on. You want a level of engagement with the entire experience in the product. But what we also found is consumers today, they wanted that, but they still don't want complexity, and they don't want bad sound.
Right.
And so, frankly, as great of a perfect analog system can sound with a record player, there were multiples of record player systems out in the market in the 70s and 80s that sounded terrible because they
Yeah.
weren't set up right. So our biggest thing was like, how do we lower the barrier to entry for all these people that are interested? Remember, I love music and this looks really fun, but too expensive, but too hard, scary, ugly, whatever. So we wanted to solve for those problems first. And so it wasn't just technology for technology's sake. Then the first big project that we worked on was, took us 3 years. We partnered with Sonos and built a product that you could seamlessly integrate with Sonos, almost like it was your analog version of Spotify on a Sonos system. And that went over really, really well. It took us 3 years to create, not because it took us that long to figure out the technology. We actually figured it out with them in I'd say less than a year, months, and had it working. But what we wanted to do is take the average consumer that doesn't know how to do any of this stuff and make it so they could take out a $800 or $1,500 turntable and set it up and be successful in 10 minutes, including setting it up on your network. That was the hard part.
Right.
So we had to totally redefine a way a record player was built, way it was made, how it was designed, how it functioned, all those things. That was our first kind of project. Since then, we've done a lot of different things. Two really interesting kind of technologies that I'm super excited about. I think you referenced in some of your questions to me, AuraCast, for
Yeah.
example. Most of our kind of middle range to higher end turntables have AuraCast in them. In the layman's terms, I would just say it's kind of like a version or type of Bluetooth type transmission. But the quality is better, and the connectivity, the ease of connectivity, arguably, is more seamless. Um, with um, with high res, with AuraCast, with you know uh, uh, X, and some of the other things that you look at. Um, I started actually writing a white paper that that looks at true signal flow and looks at the points of inputs and outputs from this analog system to then another analog system. And arguably, where are the barriers for disruption, or where are the opportunities for disruption in the signal flow and the quality of signal flow? And we're getting to a point now where you can be wireless and almost, one might argue that it's more predictable and higher quality than pretty high quality wired solutions. So no, we're not
Wow.
talking $100,000 cables and so forth like that. But when you're talking about just the middle kind of to lower end premium spaces, you can do really, really, really well, um, and 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 pass through content at really high quality wirelessly and more simply than ever. So, do we think that's the solution for everybody? No. But do we want to make sure that it is a solution that people have, that that works well? Again, the barrier to set up, the barrier to entry becomes like phenomenally easy. And again, what do people really want when they're listening to records? If you're spending anywhere from a couple hundred to 500, $700, are you looking, for your whole system? Are you looking to sit down and have this perfect two-channel experience that you can, brag to everybody about? Are you looking for great sound that's a lot of fun, that's communal, and a
Yeah.
great experience where we really want to pave the way for them to celebrate the music and the artist, not celebrate the product. And that's our goal. Is to kind of be that silent supporter, if you will, of not technically silent, but that's the silent supporter in the backdrop that really just elevates the experience overall. I say the other technology that we've got that's really, really exciting, and this is another product that's coming out from Victrola this year, that's been communicated and announced in the market already with some of the press that's we're able to see it. But it's called the soundstage. And so this is the base that actually our product will sit right on top of. And
Yeah.
that base actually has speakers in it. Um, and that is AuraCast, but it's also one simple set of wires that you go from your turntable right down to the sound base, if you will, that it sits on. Now, technically, that should be impossible because you have this speaker that's vibrating, right?
Right.
And then vibrates your cartridge, your stylus, and so forth on the record, and creates all sorts of problems. We'll call it distortion, for lack of a better term. There were products that were out there that were doing this before, and the way they got around it was massive amounts of DSP, or digital signal processing. And so what they do is they mess with the signal so that it would still kind of pro- produce this room filling sound, but that you wouldn't get some of the vibration. Well, essentially, what you're doing is you were taking out the analog feel, you're removing the bass. You were not getting an accurate experience of what the artist really intended you to have, and it felt really digital. Feels really
Yeah.
digital. So we could have came out with this product a few years ago with that approach, but we just didn't feel good about it. We wanted to, again, kind of preserve the purity of why people are coming to listen to records, and we wanted to keep that purity. And so what we ended up finding was actually a new driver array that we started working on and working with some partners on that allowed that actually had the two diaphragms on it, if you will, with one kind of motor. And so what that would do is they were opposing, and that's a subwoofer that is built into this little bass. And what it does is does natural organic phase cancellation inside it. You can literally set a glass of water on top of this thing. It doesn't vibrate at all. And it
That's
pounds. I mean,
crazy.
it sounds absolutely ridiculous. And I think even funny, I'll pretend I'm doing a set a demonstration with KLH Model 4s and then tell people that it was actually that sound base, and that blows their mind. Yeah, so we have some really cool things that are affordable and easy to use. This system with a record player and that combined, it took me 10 minutes to set up, like literally plug it in. I mean, out of the box, it was working perfectly. And it's interesting. We have all this gear in our house. We're listening to more records now as a family than we ever have when we're cooking, eating, whatever, because it's just simple for them, and it's not.
Yeah.
There's no barrier to entry, and they're not afraid they're going to wreck something of mine or whatever else. So it's been a really fun product that I'm very excited for us to be launching, and it's called the Victrola Sound Base.
That sounds
Or
like an
sorry,
amazing
Victrola Sound Stage is what it's called.
that sounds like an amazing office type of piece of
It's
equipment you could
perfect.
put in your
It's
office.
perfect.
It could be right here in the corner of my under the stairs studio.
Yeah.
But you're right. The thing that I run into issues with is if the kids wanted to play it, I have to run it through my Sonos. It goes through the app. They don't have the app. They can't get it on. I got to turn the preamp on and all that stuff. So I can see that would be very appealing to be able to just drop the needle and it's going, and the music's running. That's the Sonos experience is what I have now. It's not what I'm going to end up with, but it is what I have, and I think I can make it sound pretty dang good for what it does. I've got a 5, and I tie it into my
Yeah.
Beam and the
Yeah.
Sonos Errors, but it does a good job, and
We'll have to
it's
get you our stream, our Victrola stream, because it literally does what you say. It's got a master setup where every time it knows what speakers you want to automatically play on, and as soon as as soon as you turn that thing on, well, you don't even really have to turn it on. As soon as you take the tone arm and you put it over the top of the record starts spinning, the platter starts spinning. And as soon as the planner starts spinning, it engages Sonos automatically, and
uh,
it engages the zones that you originally selected for its master. And then you have a master volume control on it. So your kids can actually come in, they can use this whole thing, and they don't even need to touch the app. They don't need to touch their phone once to get it running on Sonos. It's pretty fun. But again, like that's the kind of stuff that, the team's innovating on that makes us different. We don't
yeah,
just build a
yeah.
product for a product's sake.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. And you guys have such good looking turntables, entry level, all the way up to that Sapphire, which is just an incredible looking turntable. It just looks awesome. And the wood veneer one, or it's the one with the wood on it, looks insane as
Yeah.
well. Those are
It's the
really, really
wave.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then you tie those into the look of the Model 5s and things like that. You have a retro feeling, Sansui, kind of
Yeah.
old school feel with brand new technology that
Mhm.
eliminates a lot of the wiring problems and things that are out there. As we're getting towards the end of this podcast, I know I've had a great time talking to you, and we're kind of under the gun here, maybe to get you to more important things. But what would you tell a new person that's getting into vinyl records? What would you tell them to really go after first in their equipment journey? And I started just buying a couple records, and then that kind of forced me, all right, let's get a record player, all right, let's get some speakers. What would you say to a brand new person that loves music already but they want to start vinyl? What do they get into immediately first?
Yeah, I mean, I would this is a non-traditional answer. I would make sure that, whatever they're buying fits into the place that, they would most often see it, touch it, feel it, hear it. Whether that's near your kitchen, whether that's in your office, whether that is in your bedroom, and I would start there. So I would really start with, where are you going to be able to, interact the most with your vinyl in a natural way where you can truly experience it, so it doesn't have to be this detour in your life. Now, and also relax, a place that you can
Yeah.
sit down and relax. And then ultimately I would build a system around that. It doesn't have to be the highest end, it doesn't have to be the largest. I mean, I would say for somebody getting started, I would look at, one of our products like, um, if it was a smaller room or a desk or a den or anything like that, we have these all-in-one products called the Eastwood, and we have a full-size version of it called the Eastwood LP, and then we have the regular Eastwood that is a little bit smaller, but full-size records still fit on it. That or a kind of a Century. Those are very decor focused, simple. You literally plug it in. You don't have to worry
Yeah.
about counter rates. You don't have to worry about tracking or anything done.
Right.
If you wanted to step up a little bit, I would just suggest you go into an automatic type product or one of our more traditional products that have AuraCast, like the Victrola Automatic or the Victrola Wave. Both those products are incredible because they work with Bluetooth. They work very traditionally, and you could set them up with the traditional system, but you can also just buy a pair of like our Victrola Tempo speakers, which pound. I mean, they'll blow your face off and they sound great. And they're less than a few $100s, and you can, plug them into the wall, and then they wirelessly work with the system by just the press of a button. There's no setup at all. And that's where so I'd really focus on simplicity and speed to the experience, but also make sure that it's something that looks and feels right in the right place in their home so that they can interact with it as much as possible. Then you find yourself, and it's funny. Um, what you said is so true. I would tell people, don't worry about the product right away. Go to the record store first and just buy a bunch of stuff, because then you get so
Yeah.
excited about it. You need to like have a product, and you'll come home with like $150 in records, and you're like, oh man, I got to have something to play with. And so that is also a key driver for us, is go get people out in the record stores, get them excited about finding new stuff and finding the old stuff, the memories that they had, that they want to share with other people.
100%. I'm gonna end on this one. We always try and end with a cool question. And I'm from Florida. I would have used hurricane on this, but because you're up near the Rocky Mountains, it is called Save One Record. You have a huge avalanche. Your family and pets are completely safe and out of the way, but you have to rush in to get one record to save from this avalanche about to hit your mountain home. What are you saving?
One I already lost and I just got it back. Showdown, Albert Collins, Robert Cray, and Johnny Copeland.
I have that.
Um,
That's so
and
good.
had it stolen from me when I was trying to do sampling in a studio a long time ago as a kid. Learned the blues from that album. Can't even tell you how many times I listened to that thing. My dad introduced me to Chicago blues as a young kid, and probably wouldn't be the album that everybody else on that desert island or whatever wanted to be listening to. But for me, I love it. Never gets old. We come back
Yeah.
to it, probably once every other month and just listen to it and go, this is good,
That's a great album. Albert Collins is awesome. I actually got that Showdown album from Reckless Records up in Chicago, just south of
Oh,
Wrigley
awesome.
Field.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was a good find up there, and yes, it's an outstanding album and a great choice. Well, Scott Hagen with Victrola and KLH Audio. Please go to their website and check out their social media. Follow their KLH Audio Instagram. It's cool, and they always have great content up there. And you'll see what we're talking about the nostalgic look of those speakers. And then also Victrola putting out some great products that can simplify your setup and get you going pretty quick. And the budget doesn't have to be huge, is what it looks like. But then they do have some really great higher end. The Sapphire looks amazing. So, Scott, look, man, I can tell that we're going to be music buddies. We might never talk business again, but we're on the same algorithm as the music.
Yeah.
And when you said meters, you had me at meters.
Yeah, that's fun. I love the meters. So we were just listening to them yesterday in the office. But thanks again. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Scott. All right, it's time for Two in the Queue. And yeah, we're going to feature some albums that I got on the trip to Denver. We went to Twist and Shout, found these two beauties. I was actually chatting up the owner at the time I saw them in the racks. And I said, wait a minute, Patrick, I got to grab these. My first in the queue, the brand new Heavies. This was a RSD release, only offered in the UK. Yeah, you can find this on Discogs, I'm sure. But this was a version I wanted to get. And guess what? It just happened to be at Twist and Shout. The owner, Patrick, told me, can't believe it's still there. Oh, and right behind that brand new Heavies was this one. So I saved them, and I brought them home to Florida with me. That's my Two in the Queue this week, the brand new Heavies.